Hello everyone, welcome to Southern Wreaths. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. Today I'm going to make a St. Patrick's Day wreath. These are the supplies I used to make this wreath. I'm going to start by adding my pipe cleaners to my 14-inch wire frame. I'm going to tie one to each crossbar on the two center rings. I'm twisting 3 times just to make sure I have a secure hold on the frame, and I'll go around and do the whole middle. Then for the outside, I just pick a random crossbar to start. Again, twisting 3 times. This time I'm going to lay the pipe cleaner along the frame, and where the pipe cleaner ends is where I'm going to add my next one. And I'll continue doing that all the way around. When you're in between the crossbars, be careful how tight you are squeezing because you can squeeze the frame together. And you would probably use a pipe cleaner that matches your wreath. This was all I could find. I'm going to use this 21-inch metallic mesh. It's really flimsy. I believe I got it from Hobby Lobby, but it's great for a base. And I'm just going to gather the ends. I like to start in the center and then gather the top and then the bottom. That way I get a nice centered section of it, so I can make a nice poof. And now I'm just going to add it into my pipe cleaner. Like on top of the pipe cleaner that's at the crossbar, and then attach that with a zip tie. And then I'll use that pipe cleaner at the end. I do like to push the mesh to the back when I trim it away. It just kind of keeps the excess out of the front of the wreath. Alright, and I like to use my mat to help me measure making my poofs. Now I'm going to make 12-inch poofs. So I just make a C with my hand, pull out to the 0 in this case. I started the 12. And then I just add it to the pipe cleaner and I twist like 1 time and then kind of pull the pipe cleaner out of the way. The reason I do this is because sometimes I've been known to accidentally grab the outside pipe cleaner when I'm doing the inside poofs. So this way I have it pushed out of the way so I don't have to worry about grabbing it by mistake. And I'll just do the same thing going all the way around the outside. Just 12-inch poofs and twist 1 time. You do want to have a firm grip on the frame when you're pulling the mesh, but you usually have it pretty loose around the mesh itself, just so you can get a nice pull. So once I finish the outside, I'm going to pull it to the closest center pipe cleaner and just twist it once just to move it to the middle. And now I'll just continue going around making the 12-inch poofs, again twisting 1 time. And I do like to fluff the poofs as I go. You could do that at the end if you want. And you can see I'm not taking super duper care to make sure that these poofs are perfect. You can do that if you want, but when I know I'm adding a lot of stuff on top, I kind of like the messy look a little bit because you have the greens that poke out in different spots on once you have everything added, so you can really see all the different colors. If I was just doing a poof method, I would make sure these poofs were like as perfect as possible. So now I'm just going to trim it away and push it to the back just to attach it to the frame with another zip tie. And these smaller zip ties are hard to work with. I need to get some more new ones or some big ones. I think I have them, they're just still packed away. When I trim away my zip tie, I do like to turn it towards the front of the wreath. That way there's nothing poking out the back. You can see I borrowed my daughter's scissors. I have since found my scissors and then bought new ones because my old ones have somehow went dull. And I've bought a rotary cutter. But for now, I am using my paper trimmer. So I'm cutting 10-inch mesh at 24 inches each. And I just kind of slide it underneath the paper cutter. This really is really simple to use. I just hate having to lug it out. It's really heavy. But it comes in handy when you can't find things. And then I have a double layer of 6-inch green mesh that I'm cutting at 10 inches because I'm going to make curls. And I'll show you, you don't have to have 10-inch mesh to make curls. You can also do ruffles that way with two 6-inch pieces. So to start my ruffle, I like to tuck under the first part of the mesh just to make sure nothing sticks out. And then I'll just like accordion fold it into my hand. And then again at the end, I kind of tuck it under. And now I'm just going to add it into the pipe cleaner. Again, just twisting once because I'm going to add more to it. And then I'll just fluff out my ruffle, kind of overlapping the edges, just making it look pretty. Here, I'll show you one more time. And I do like to put something heavy on it, especially towards the end of the roll because it's really curly. And you can see it likes to stick to itself. And now I'm just trimming away a piece that I had ripped apart when I was pulling it. And I tuck it under and gather it. This just keeps your fraying down so you don't have as much sticking out. Like you can see that part at the top. That was from where it was sticking to each other. And I'll trim that away as well. About the only way to get rid of fraying is to do an all poof method. And that's boring. I love a ruffle wreath. That's my favorite method. Okay, and I'll just go around and continue putting the 10-inch mesh in each section. I'll do the outside and the inside. And I don't really do anything different for the outside or the inside. But I do like to start on the outside first and then move to the inside because I feel like it makes it feel fuller because it kind of sits on top. I find if I do the middle first and then the outside, it kind of pushes down the middle. This just makes it feel like it's fluffing up and on top. To me, that might not actually be what's happening, but that's what it looks like. And see, I'll fluff those the same way, just overlapping and making it look pretty. I have this tiny little bit of this shamrock ribbon, but I wanted to use it as much as possible, so I'm cutting these pieces at 10 inches just so I could get, it gives me an extra piece, and I'll just spread them out throughout the whole wreath. And then I like to dovetail them, so I just fold it in half and cut from the wire to the crease. And I'll do that on both sides. And I'll do it for all the ribbon as well. This is really pretty ribbon, but I used most of it last year. I just thought it fit with this wreath so well. So I got 4 of those. And now I'm just going to get the rest of my ribbon using this really pretty, like a lime green check color in my 12-inch piece of cardboard. And I'm going to wrap it around. I usually go to 7 or 8 pieces. I don't like to go more than that just because it gets too thick to cut, especially with my little kid scissors. Once I get it done wrapping, I'll just feed my scissors into the end and cut it across. And again, it's easier with regular scissors. This way I have to do both sides. But it cut, so that's all that matters. And ta-da, I get 12-inch pieces of ribbon. So I decided to do my ribbon and curls in a bundle so that I could just stick them all together. That's why I have my bow dabber there. So I'm taking 2 pieces of 6-inch mesh, and I'm going to curl them about the same size, as close to the same size as I can get them. And then I also had this plain, no metallic, no nothing in it. It's just completely plain mesh. It's about 10 inches. And I'm going to use that for curls as well. Just as kind of a filler to add more texture. And it's the same color as the Poofs, but it just doesn't have the metallic. You can either overlap them that way or just squeeze them together like I do. And you see I kind of made like an X shape. And then I'll just add my ribbons on top. So some of my bundles will have, most of my bundles will have double check ribbon. and then 4 of them will have the clover. But if you had enough of the one ribbon, you could, alternate, have 2 ribbons in each section. And then I just add that directly on top of the ruffles. And now I'm going to twist 3 times. And then because this this pipe cleaner isn't a good color for this wreath, because that's all I had or all I could find at the time, I am tucking it out of sight. You could trim it away or whatever you wanted to do. If you had a pretty pipe cleaner that matched your wreath, you could curl it with a glue stick. And I'm just going to show you one more time how I make the bundle. And I'm just going to roll up the plain boring mesh. Curls are a great way to use that mesh that you wouldn't normally use in other parts of your wreath. Mesh like this is usually either great for curls like this or like a base. And I know I've had someone ask me before why I even bother putting the poofs on the bottom if sometimes you can't see them at the end. It just makes the wreath fuller. It makes it bigger than it actually is. It looks bigger than it actually is. It gives it height. And this is Dollar Tree 6-inch mesh. You could also use the good mesh from like Hobby Lobby, or I think Michael's has it. I really wanted to use this lime green color, and these were the only sizes I had, except for the 21-inch mesh, and I did not want to cut down 21-inch mesh to make curls. It's a big mess. And again, I tried to make that X shape. And I fold my ribbon in half to find the center, and then I crease it so I can pinch in that area, and that just makes sure I have an even amount of ribbon on each side. And then I'll just pull it all off together. And you don't have to use a bow dabber. You could add each individual layer by itself, or you could hold it in your fingers. You could use a tip clip or a clothespin. You can do it any way you wanted to. I just find my bow dabber very handy when it comes to making bundles. Because if you were doing like an all curl wreath, it really comes in handy. So I finally found the sign I was looking for. It took me a few days to find it. I'm just pulling the top off. You can see like a little bit of white at the top, but I do go back with like a green marker and color it in so you can't see it. I'm going to use E6000 and hot glue for this. 1, because I can't find my staple gun, and 2, because it's foam, so a staple gun doesn't really hold it very well. And my E6000 was stuck, so I was pulling it apart. And I just add a little bit on each side, kind of in a long line, and then I'll add hot glue as well. And again, I've said this before, but the E6000 is a super duper strong hold, but it takes a while to dry. The hot glue dries instantly, so you can continue working. I do still wait a little while before I add signs when I use E6000 and hot glue, because I do not want them to pop off, because this particular one did pop off when I added it. Yeah, added it. Okay. When I added it to the wreath, so I had to wait and let it dry. So you can see my glue is completely dry, and I twisted it, but it still ended up popping off when I put it on there. But it was no problem. I just let it set to the side for a while, and probably like an hour, just to make sure, because you're kind of pulling it tight when you're adding it to the wreath. So now I'm just pulling apart the mesh and ribbon and feeding the pipe cleaners through to the frame. And then I'll kind of put the wreath where I want it to be. And then twist it around the frame. And the great thing about doing it this way is you can always undo the pipe cleaners and move it around to where you want it to be. So if you're not happy with where you added it, you can just take it apart. Just untwist the pipe cleaners. This has been the easiest way for me personally to add signs and elements to my wreath as pipe cleaners. I think some people use wire. I don't really like using wire. I feel like I can't get it tight enough. And then after I twist, I do tuck the pipe cleaner around towards the front of the wreath so that it doesn't poke anything. And that's it. That's how I made my St. Patrick's Day all green wreath. If y'all have any questions, please be sure to leave them in the comments below, or you can always email me at craftingwithlee@yahoo.com. Thanks so much for watching, and if y'all like my video, please like, share, and subscribe, and check out my Facebook group, Southern Wreaths and More.